Futurecast shows you that as time goes on, we start to break up our clouds. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've got sunshine through these clouds, a little thicker cloud layer to the south. Takes a little longer to clear there. Well, we don't care because it'll turn into a nice day, and eventually it'll be a nice Father's Day tomorrow. Maybe some building clouds as we go late in the day, but for the most part, it'll be a mostly sunny day for Father's Day. 78 for today, increasing sunshine, spread of temperatures as you'd expect. 69 at the Loop, 80 at Aurora, 83 at Ottawa. So it's that breeze off of Lake Michigan that's doing it to us once again here as we have breezes that are coming straight down from the north down Lake Michigan. So we're looking at 59 degrees tonight with mostly clear skies, and then Father's Day, cooler near the lake, 79 degrees at O'Hare, warmer inland, pretty much like today except more sunshine, and we're in good shape. Over the next 10 days, we bring our temperatures up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can see these temperatures get very warm out here as we head through the week, through the next 10 days. And along with that, we'll have some storms. Some of the storms that we see around here on Wednesday could be a little bit on the rough side, so we'll watch those. There's a possibility for severe. That's a ways off, but we're watching it for you here with your first alert weather.
In the Austin neighborhood, 2 men dead after an overnight shooting. This happened around 11:45 last night on Laramie near Maypole. Police say the men were sitting in that SUV that you see right there when someone walked up and shot them both in the head. You can see the bullet holes that were on the side there of the SUV, and also bullets in a nearby window went through that window there. The men taken to Stroger Hospital where they both died. No one is in custody. Charges are pending against a man arrested during Thursday's protest who was reportedly pretending to be a police officer. Police say the man had a loaded semi-automatic pistol. Police sources say he has a FOID card but told officers he did not have a concealed carry license. The 21-year-old man also had badges and documents saying he was part of a, quote, special police team. When he didn't show valid police credentials, officers arrested him. Meantime, the No Kings protests come as President Trump and the U.S. Army are celebrating their birthdays. The celebrations include a major parade tonight showing off America's military might with tanks and armored vehicles. 18.5 miles of fencing is going up, an expected crowd of 200,000 as well. The parade was originally supposed to be a festival before President Trump took office and ordered a parade to be held instead. Now, ahead of the parade, dozens of protesters have been arrested outside the U.S. Capitol building after they apparently crossed a police line. This happened last night after a demonstration outside the Supreme Court. A group of 60 had left that protest and headed towards the Capitol, where Capitol Police had used bike racks to prevent those protesters from getting to the rotunda. The 60 protesters now face charges, among them assault on an officer and resisting arrest. He was the longest-serving legislative leader in American history, and now former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan is going to prison. Yesterday, he was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, in a lengthy corruption trial. He also faces a $2.5 million fine and 3 years of supervised release once he gets out of prison. Madigan was convicted of taking bribes and trying to use his power to get a former alderman a state board seat. The judge also called out Madigan for lying while testifying in his own defense.
Called him a liar. Said you got on the stand and lied. You have a right not to testify, but you can't get up and lie. And he called him a liar. And he said his testimony was nauseating. That's a quote. So the judge was clearly irritated with his testimony. I think that hurt him at sentencing.
Prosecutors did not appear after court, but issued a statement saying in part that Madigan is being held accountable after using his power for his own personal interests and gain. Madigan will have to report to prison at a later date. The location is to be determined. For the first time since the state legislature adjourned for the summer without addressing the fiscal cliff facing our public transit agencies, we're hearing from the RTA about how it's planning for cuts of up to 40% across CTA, Metra, and PACE. While hope remains high that Springfield will come up with a funding solution in the coming months, during yesterday's RTA meeting, Executive Director Leanne Redden made clear that at least some cuts are now inevitable.
Because it depends on how much new revenue the legislature enables, if they enable anything, and how long it's going to take for those revenues to be reached in the transit system. I don't want to give anyone false hope that there is still any way to avoid some of these negative impacts.
Further complicating matters, the threshold to pass a bill reforming and funding public transit in Illinois has now risen. During the regular legislative session, all that was needed was a simple majority, 60 votes in the House and 30 votes in the Senate. In a special or veto session, though, that threshold is now 71 in the House and 36 in the Senate. A draft bill to address the fiscal cliff did pass the Senate just before the end of the session, but only by 32 votes, meaning it wouldn't have passed in a special session. The House did not consider that bill before it adjourned.
This is breaking news from CBS News Chicago. This is
is bustling. There are a number of large events and gatherings happening across the city today, and we're going to get you to at least one of them here momentarily. This is the No Kings protest that you've probably heard about, aimed at pushing back against President Donald Trump, his immigration policies, and what these protesters call the authoritarian way he has governed since taking office for a second time back in January. So this is Daley Plaza, and this crowd has been growing, I would say, certainly over the last half hour, but folks started gathering at least an hour ago for this protest, one of almost 2,000 scheduled around the country today, to counter and take attention away from the military parade President Trump has planned for later this evening in Washington, D.C. That's a celebration of the Army's 250th birthday, which also coincides with President Trump's 79th birthday. As I mentioned, a lot going on. In addition to this gathering, there is a mass and message from Pope Leo XIV at the Rate. Puerto Rican Heritage Festivals going on in Humboldt Park. Taste of Randolph over in the West Loop. And by the way, the Cubs are in town today playing the Pirates. That's a 1:20 start about an hour from now. Again, a lot going on in the city. This is probably the marquee event that we'll be keeping an eye on. This gathering set to take off on a march in about an hour, so we'll keep an eye on that, and we will also be back with reports from Dorothy Tucker, who's at Sox Park, with more on the mass and message from the Pope, and also what's happening over at Daley Plaza. So we'll be with you all afternoon with the many events going on across Chicago. We will see you soon.
This has been breaking news from CBS News Chicago.
Does this thing end somewhere?